Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about journalism and how it's fallen so far from grace, from the honoured position that it once had as part of the fourth estate, one of the cornerstones of Western democracy. It's all gone now, and we've just got endless propaganda, lies and propaganda. It's astonishing how the whole media establishment, or 95% of it, the TV stations, the newspapers, they know they're telling lies. They're not even bothered about it anymore. They tell the most outrageous lies. They're not even playing around the edges with some opinion. It's all straight lies and propaganda, and they know they're doing it. Now, they're globalist controlled, so they're doing what the globalists want in order to push forward with the globalist project. So we can accept that that's how things are, and we understand that's how things are. But let's look at the decline, how it all happened and how quickly it happened. I guess as I look through the major newspapers and major online news outlets and look through, there's hardly anything that isn't propaganda. If a story makes it onto the front page or anywhere near the top, that's just a straight fact, like there was, say, a 10-car pile-up at midday today, that sort of thing. That's pretty much straight factual. Even that's got a propaganda angle now, because there'll be, the cause of it was a white guy, and the black lesbian got injured. They'll even spin race and gender. Everything is looked at. Everything, every piece of information that's pushed out at us is looked at as how can it be turned into propaganda? How can it be used to influence people and opinions and attitudes? So that wasn't how it was. If you go and look at, say go into any major city library, and you can look, it's either online or on microfiche in some places, and you can look at newspaper stories from 50 years ago. And you'll see that there is an opinion page, and some of it's a little bit inventive, but in reality, you look at the rest of it, it's all sort of straight news. There was the tabloids with the Martians have landed and man bites dog and all that sort of stuff. But the major mastheads and the major stations, it was accurate information. There was some creativity around, say, current affairs shows, where they would play a little bit fast and loose with context, but still there was a lot of reliability information they were putting out. Now, around the time that I left school, there's some guys I knew that went into journalism, and so and I've mentioned this before, I think, in some other pieces that I've done, but these guys went to work for well-known, reputable newspapers, broadsheet newspapers, and they started off as cadet journalists and so on. And when you're a cadet journalist, they give you simple jobs to do, like covering the story about a cake baking competition or a cat judging competition and those sorts of things. And so these guys were, one of them at the cake baking competition, I think, I'm going from memory here, but say the winning cake was orange and lemon flavored, for example. But he wrote up the story that it was an orange flavored cake. He got slapped around for that and finger wagged and told off and by the editor for getting it wrong. That was how serious the newspapers were about absolute accuracy. It was a bankable thing. You had to be completely accurate. And they wanted the newspaper to be seen as the most reliable source of information. And the other guy was, he got the breed of the cat wrong, and it was a very similar breed with a couple of syllables difference in the name of the cat, so the cat breed name. So it was no big deal in the overall scheme of things, but it wasn't good. You weren't accurate as a journalist. Your job is to be 100% accurate, and they weren't, and they got into trouble for it. boy, how things have changed. Now the intention is to lie, the intention is to deceive, the intention is to influence people with lies and with propaganda. And there's no pretend. There's not just we're playing at the edges here. They're full bore straight down the middle. We are telling you lies, and they're trying to pass it off as truth. But they all know they're doing it. This is unusual. There's not many people that will willfully lie day in, day out, all the time, and look for opportunities to tell lies and then tell more lies. There's not many people who are like that. But for some reason, there's a vast group hangers-on around the media industry that do exactly that and appear to enjoy it. They appear to want to do it. They can't wait to tell another lie. Now, maybe some of them are ideological, fanatics, and they think that all these lies are somehow worth it. Even if you go back and look at, say, newspapers in Germany in the 1930s, they're not as bad as this. So that's how far we've gone. That's how far the globalist controlled media in the Western world has gone. If you look at, say, TASS, or Pravda, the newspapers and news outlets in Soviet Russia, even then, they had plenty of propaganda in there. But even then, that they still had the stories that were accurate. It was only the things that were politically relevant or had immediate propaganda value on an issue that was important to them on the day that they would push. Otherwise, it wasn't there. But there are a lot of similarities. Anything that goes wrong, it's counter-revolutionaries, it's enemies of the people, and they're doing the same in the Western world now. It's white supremacists and this sort of thing. So, so that's it. But that's how far we've gone down. That 40 years ago, or a little bit over 40 years ago, it was almost a sackable offence to get a fact wrong in a story. Now the fact is laughable, but it illustrates, I think, how important the fourth estate, the newspapers, the media is in a democracy. And if we look, say, in Britain at the time when at the time of the American Revolution, when the British colonists in America were running around saying that King George was a tyrant, the Americans at the time, or the British colonists in America, were probably the freest people in the world. So the idea of tyranny was a little bit rich. But the British press during that time, if you just look at the cartoons from Punch, they had more freedom then to express views on political issues than the media does today, because everything's been politicized, racialized, genderized, subgenderized, transgenderized. And because there have been so many issues put in that you can't talk about this, you can't say that, you can't do so and so, the only people that can be criticized and attacked are straight white Christians. And this has created an absurd situation in the media landscape. But I just wanted to mention that about the journalists years ago, how even getting the flavour of a cake wrong was enough to get hauled into the editor's office and get a telling off. Whereas now the entire establishment is focused on doing nothing but telling lies, and that's the world that we're currently in. The globalist controlled media, and their sole job is telling lies and trying to influence the populace with those lies. I guess we also can take some heart in this, that if the globalist project was going ahead and everything was fine and smooth and dandy, and people were accepting it and were embracing it, and white people, there's nothing in this for white people, so I don't know why they'll ever embrace it other than the handful of suckers or the other handful are doing okay out of it. But if everything was going smoothly, they just wouldn't need to tell so many lies. And there's something frantic and fanatic about the lie telling. It's just a barrage of endless lies, lie after lie after lie, and just full on lies. And if they were confident and if they were in control and sure that the globalist view, the globalist project was being accepted, then they wouldn't need to do this, and they just wouldn't do it. But it goes to show that when you're forcing any ideology on the populace. The ideology doesn't make sense, and people can see that fairly quickly, but the ideologues keep on going. They can't stop. And the more collateral damage they amass as they go on with it, the more they're determined to continue. Success is only just around the next corner, just like the unicorn is just around the next corner. And that's where we're at now. We're at a globalist elite that are very nervous about their capacity to get the populace to accept the globalist project. And it shows in the amount of lies and the craziness of some of the lies that they're telling. That's my take. You've been with Tacitus today at Your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.